Guys, welcome back. I hope y'all had a wonderful day. I love and I miss you. But you want to get back into it. We're on chapter 13. Perfidy Unlimited. Together, the three mice traveled down, down, down. The thread around Despero's neck was tight. He felt as if it was choking him. He tugged at it with one paw. "Don't touch the thread," barked the second hood. "Yeah," echoed the first hood. "Don't touch the thread." They moved quickly, and whenever Despero slowed, one of the two hoods poked him in the shoulder and told him to keep moving. They went through holes in the wall and down golden stairs. They went past rooms with doors that were closed and doors that were flung wide. The three mice traveled across the marble floors and under heavy velvet drapes. They moved through warm patches of sunlight and dark pools of shade. This, thought Despero, was the world he was leaving behind, the world that he knew and loved. And somewhere in it, the Princess P was laughing and smiling and clapping her hands to music, unaware of Despero's fate. That he would not be able to let the princess know what had become of him seemed suddenly unbearable to the mouse. "Would it be possible for me to have a last word with the princess?" Despero asked. "A word?" said the second hood. "You want a word with a human?" "I want to tell her what has happened to me." "Geez," said the first hood. He stopped and stamped a paw on the floor in frustration. "Cripes, you can't learn, can you?" The voice was terribly familiar to Despero. "Furlough?" he said. "What?" said the first body irritably. Despero shrugged. His own brother was delivering him to the dungeon. His heart stopped beating and shrunk to a small, cold, disbelieving pebble. But then, just as quickly, it leaped alive again, beating with hope. "Furlough?" Despero said, and he took one of his brother's paws in his own. "Please, let me go. Please, I'm your brother." Furlough rolled his eyes. He took his paw out of Despero's. "No," he said, "no way." "Please," said Despero. "No," said Furlough. "Rules are rules." Reader, do you recall the word perfidy? Perfidy. Perfidy. As our story progresses, perfidy becomes an ever more appropriate word, doesn't? I'm going to have to look up perfidy. I don't even know what it means. Perfidy was certainly the word that was in Despero's mind as the mice finally approached the narrow, steep stairs that led to the black hole of the dungeon. They stood, the three mice, two with hoods and one without, and contemplated the abyss before them. And then Furlough stood up on his hind legs and placed his right paw over his heart. For the good of the castle mice, he announced to the darkness, we deliver this day to the dungeon a mouse in need of punishment. He is, according to the laws we have established, wearing the red thread of death. The red thread of death? Repeated Despero in a small voice. Wearing the red thread of death was a terrible phrase, but the mouse didn't have long to consider its implications because he was suddenly pushed from behind by the hooded mice. The push was a strong one, and it sent Despero flying down the stairs into the dungeon. As he tumbled, whisker over tail, through the darkness, there were only two words in his mind. One was perfidy. And this is Despereaux in the dungeon with the two hooded mice. The other word that he clung to was P. Perfidy, P. Perfidy, P. These were words that pinwheeled through Despereaux's mind as his body descended into the darkness. Chapter 4, appropriately titled Darkness. Despereaux lay on his back at the bottom of the steps and touched the bones in his body one by one. They were all there, and amazingly, they were unbroken. He got to his feet and became aware of a terrible, foul, extremely insulting smell. The dungeon, reader, stank. It stank of despair and suffering and hopelessness, which is to say that the dungeon smelled of rats. And it was so dark, Despereaux had never before encountered darkness so awful, so all-encompassing. The darkness had a physical presence, as if it were a being all on its own. The mouse held one paw up in front of his whiskers. He could not see it. He had the truly alarming thought that perhaps he, Despereaux Tilling, did not even exist. "Oh my," he said out loud. His voice echoed in the smelly darkness. "Perfidy," said Despereaux, just to hear his voice again, just to assure himself that he did exist. "P," said Despereaux, and the name of his beloved was immediately swallowed up by the darkness. He shivered, he shook, he sneezed, his teeth chattered. He longed for his handkerchief. He grabbed hold of his tail. It took him a long time, frightening moment to even locate his tail, so absolute was the darkness, to have something, anything to hold on to. He considered fainting. He deemed it was the only reasonable response to the situation in which he found himself. But then he remembered the words of the threadmaster: honesty, courtesy, devotion, and bravery. "I will be brave," thought Despereaux. "I will try to be brave like a knight in shining armor. I will be brave for Princess P." How best for him to be brave? He cleared his throat. He let go of his tail. He stood up straighter. "Once upon a time," he said out loud to the darkness. He said these words because they were the best, the most powerful words that he knew. And just saying them, and just the saying of them comforted him. "Once upon a time," he said again, feeling a tiny bit braver. "There was a knight, and he wore, always, an armor of shining silver." "Once upon a time?" boomed a voice from the darkness. "A king in shining armor? What does a mouse know of such things?" The voice, the loudest voice that Despereaux had ever heard, could only be assumed to be the world's largest rat. Despereaux's small, overworked heart stopped beating, and for the second time that day, the mouse fainted. Poor Despereaux, I feel so bad for him. Chapter 15, Light. When Despereaux awoke, he was cupped in the large, calloused hand of a human, and he was staring into the fire of one match, and beyond the match there was a large, dark eye looking directly at him. "A mouse with red thread," boomed the voice. "Oh yes, Gregory knows the way of mice and rats. Gregory knows. And Gregory has his own thread marking him. See here, Mouse? And the match was held to a candle, and the candle sputtered to life, and Despereaux saw that there was a rope tied around the man's ankle. Here is the difference between us. Gregory's rope saves him, and your thread will be the death of you. The man blew the candle out, and the darkness descended, and the man's hand closed more tightly around Despereaux, and Despereaux felt his beleaguered heart start up a crazy rhythm of fear. Who are you? He whispered. The answer to the question, Mouse, is Gregory. You are talking to Gregory the jailer, who has been buried here, keeping watch over this dungeon for decades, for centuries, for eons, for eternities. You are talking to Gregory the jailer, who, in the richest of ironies, is nothing but a prisoner here himself. Oh, said Despereaux. May I get down, Gregory? The mouse wants to know if Gregory the jailer will let him go. Listen to Gregory, Mouse. You do not want to be let go. Here in this dungeon, you are in the treacherous dark heart of the world. And if Gregory was to release you, the twistings and turnings and dead ends and false doorways of this place would swallow you for all eternity. Only Gregory, and the rats find their way through this maze. The rats, because they know, because the way of its mirrors, they own their own dark hearts. And Gregory, because the rope is forever tied to his ankle to guide him back to the beginning. Gregory would let you go, but you would only beg him to take you up again. The rats are coming for you, you see? They are? Listen, said Gregory. You can hear their tails dragging through the muck and filth. You can hear them filing their nails and teeth. They are coming for you. They are coming to take you apart piece by piece. Despereaux listened, and he was quite certain that he heard the nails and teeth of the rats, the sound of sharp things being made sharper still. They will strip all the fur from your flesh and all the flesh from your bones, and when they are done with you, there will be nothing left except red thread and bones. Gregory has seen it many times, the tragic end of a mouse. But I need to live, said Despereaux. I can't die. You cannot die? Ah, that is lovely. He says he cannot die. Gregory closed his hand more tightly around Despereaux. And why would that be, Mouse? Why is it that you can't die? Because I'm in love. I love somebody, and it is my duty to serve her. Love? Said Gregory. Love. Hark you, I will show you the twisted results of love. Another match was struck. The candle was lit again, and Gregory held it up so that its flame illuminated a massive, towering, teetering pile of spoons and kettles and soup bowls. Look on that, Mouse, said Gregory. This is a monument to the foolishness of love. What is it? Asked Despereaux. He stared at the great tower that reached up into the darkness. What it looks like? Spoons, bowls, kettles. All of them gathered here as hard evidence of the pain of loving a living thing. The king loved the queen, and the queen died. This monstrosity, this junk heap, is a result of love. I don't understand, said Despereaux. And you will not understand until you lose what you love. But enough about love, said Gregory. He blew out the candle. We will talk instead about your life, and how Gregory will save you if you so desire. Why would you save me? Despereaux asked. Have you saved any other mice? There's Gregory. He looks creepy too. Never, said Gregory, not one. Why would you save me then? Because you, Mouse, can tell a story. Stories are light. Light is precious in a world so dark. Begin at the beginning. Tell Gregory a story. Make some light. And because Despereaux wanted very much to live, he said, Once upon a time. Yes, said Gregory happily. He raised his hand higher and then higher, still until Despereaux's whiskers brushed against his leathery, time-worn ear. Go on, Mouse, said Gregory. Tell Gregory a story. And it was in this way that Despereaux became the only mouse sent to the dungeon whom the rats did not reduce to a pile of bones and a piece of red thread. Whew, thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. It was in this way that Despereaux was saved. Reader, that's you too. If you don't mind, that is where we will leave our small mouse for now, in the dark of the dungeon, in the hand of an old jailer, telling a story to save himself. It is time for us to turn our attention elsewhere. Time for us, reader, to speak of rats, and of one rat in particular. End of first book. We will start the second book next time. I love you. Sweet dreams.